This is a screenshot from NSF I thought really appropriate. John and I go around and visit a lot of folks on campus that need help with IT resources. So what happens when you have 100 different portals you need to access and you have to remember usernames and passwords for each one of those? You end up taking a sticky, and we found them on the back of keyboards, but after a while folks end up being so frustrated they put a sticky with the username and password on the monitor. So that ends up defeating the idea that you've gone through the effort of making sure that the person who wants access is who they say they are. You've gone through and validated that the ID matches the individual. You can go through all that information, but the minute the end user ends up being so frustrated that they attach that username and password to a sticky note, you've lost all that effort. So what's the solution? One of them is to use federated identity. And federated identity is simply agreeing to a trusted resource external to the university that allows you to take university credentials through that trusted provider, validate those credentials, and then through the federal portal or external resource, third party, use those same credentials to validate. So you end up one username and password set, the ones that are provided by your institution, giving you access to the 100 different portals we talked about. With federated identity, there's one ID, one username and password. The trusted provider, in this case the federated identifier in common, ends up providing that trusted source and allows you to access all of the different portals using that single set of credentials. And this really works very well. For example, if you use your favorite browser, you can open a session to your local university. Let's say you open a window into the research management area at the institution. As long as you don't close that browser and you've authenticated using that trusted ID, you can click on the favorites list and now open research.gov, and without having to re-enter the username and password, you still have access to that resource. So it not only uses a single user identifier for all the different portals, it saves you from having to re-enter your username and password. In common is the most commonly one I think that's used. Most of the federal agencies have agreed to use this, and many institutions are also using that resource to do the trust relationship. In common provides that resource to leverage identity databases at an institution, pass any credentials that you need to, as well as attributes, for example, filling in the SF424 as we discussed before. It provides many levels of authentication, so if you enter a portal and you're a research administrator, it gives you access to different menus and resources at that provider, and if you're a research investigator, it gives you a completely different set of menus and resources at that provider.